back to the workshop. So this week we're going to make a stash tube for my buddy Dan up in Queensland. The main body is going to be this tubing here. I'm not going to do too much to the inside of it other than add a thread, because we're going to make a threaded cap out of this big old hex stock here, so that'll be fun. The bottom will have a blanking plate welded to it, so I'll just turn a little shoulder so that slips in there and we'll weld that around. It'll have a shoulder so it doesn't slide down into the seat tube, and I'll add some O-rings as well just so it stops it from sort of rattling around. Should be a pretty fun one. What do you say we get into it? So let's figure out what we're doing. So what I know is that the seat tube is 28 mil on the inside. So let's do some table CAD. Alright, so this needs to be 28 to fit in the seat tube, and then we can just leave this at 33.8, 33.8 is, and that we'll turn that down to 28, and then we're going to have just a little shoulder on there so that can't go through. So that's what we've got there. And then we'll have our thread here. So I'm thinking we're going to do 24 by 1.25 for the internal there, because we've got about 26 mil on the inside. And with this hex piece, we're going to turn a feature on the top. So it will be something like this. A little divot in there. And then, yeah, we might have a little feature like that in the top. So that'll sit sort of like that. And then we'll have our little piece here, which is welded to cap off the end so all the stuff doesn't fall out. So I think the move is we'll clean up the ends of these, bore out the ends, 20 mil on one side for that thread, and just a little bit for a shoulder for the plug to go in on the end. Too slow. I just realized our first problem. This piece of material is not thick enough to be able to turn down the inside, turn down the outside, and thread it. So we're gonna have to go to a different piece of material. It's nice to find these things out early on in the project so you don't invest too much time. That's all right, I'm sure I've got something around here. That should do. Nice big chunk of 40mm hollow bar. so just a few of the details. We've got the O-ring grooves, as I was sort of saying, and I added a little taper here to help start the O-rings rather than it just being quite a large cylinder. A lot of the times you can overstretch the O-ring and, you know, they'll eventually snap or whatever in those little bits. So started with a turn down little section where the plug on the end is, and then I added a little taper, and then you can just roll them up. So, oh, and also I added a drain hole in the bottom, if you can hopefully see, just so if whatever you've got in here has a little bit of oil or moisture on it, it'll drain out the bottom, out the seat tube, down onto the ground. You don't want stuff getting in there and sticking around, because, you know, if you don't come into this and pick out your nuts and bolts or whatever, you know, whatever else you got in here, you might pull them out and they'll be all rusty, and on the side of the road that's not a lot of fun. So that's those three installed. Oh, and this is the cap. I just ran it over on the buffing wheel quickly. Little short thread relief, faced, and hopefully you can see the threads in there, just enough. Nice little shoulder. Really nice little fit. Really nice fit. Right up too. And that, my friends, is pretty much it. Let's go install it on the bike so you can have a bit of an idea of how it slots in. This is free to move around that, and it's lower than this backbone here, so your seat will still go over the top of it, no problem. And to get it out, you just pull up on the thread a little bit, and then you can get your hand underneath it. Boop. That's it. First O-ring, those two, and then there's zero vibration. Beautiful. Alright, it's quitting time on this one. I'm happy with how that all fits up. You just saw a video of me actually installing it on a shovel head frame, which is going to be the same application as what Dan's got. So, yeah, that was super fun. If you're interested in something like this, feel free to get in contact via the website link below. I'd be happy to make one for you. I'd like to thank Dan for the fun project and all the other little things we've done in the past. Much appreciated, mate. And to all you watching, thanks very much. We'll see you soon.